even though he's hurt, you still need him on the bench there. I think you just kind of have to hold and play the waiver for now. I mean, good news is you have a good starting lineup. I mean, you still have a decent bench here. I don't really know that we need to be rostering Dontavion Wicks right now. And
But people
I don't know if you have another
like him.
quarterback here, but I think in like 10, 12 team leagues, you could argue Caleb Williams is droppable, but maybe you want to get a larger sample size. I could understand that, but and I guess Chubb's on the IR. Yeah, I think you just got to hold what you got here. I mean, the problem is like you have a good starting lineup, but if you trade one of these players, like you have to acquire someone of equivalent value, and then being able to do that and get an additional player is probably not going to happen unless you also trade London. So, I mean, I just don't know if I like anything. Should I try and put a package together and trade for Gibbs? What would that be? I mean, yeah, you'd have to like sell Kenneth Walker while he's hurt or Aaron Jones and then add on like Drake London. Like I feel like that's like the only thing you could do here. Or maybe you add on DJ Moore and you start Drake London, but I don't know if I really like it. I don't know if I like it. Kenneth is going to be better and healthy at some point, so I think I'd hold. All right, full PPR. Start 2 running backs, a wide receiver, and a flex. We got Pollard, Mason, Ford, White, McLaurin, Dell. I'm going to start Pollard against the Jets at home. That run defense sucks. I'm going to start.
That's an understatement.
Yeah, I mean, they're bad, you know. This next choice is tough at running back. I will say in full PPR, I'll flex Tank Dell. You could flex Scary Terry. I'll put it this way: Terry McLaurin for a floor, bad Giants defense, Tank Dell for upside Sunday night. Won't be surprised if Tank Dell was a big game. The second running back's hard because I like Mason, Ford, and White this week. Mason and White had the worst matchups here. Vikings number 4 against the run through week 1 at least, and then the Lions are 7th, so 2 top 7 teams. Then Ford has a good matchup. Jacksonville 25th against the run. So at least from a fantasy perspective. I probably take the PPR upside with White or the floor with Mason because even though the Vikings very good against the run in week 1 as the Giants, I don't think they're a bad run defense, but
No, we're great.
it's
We
the
have a great
Niners.
We're the best run defense in football. What you mean?
It might be.
No, but they were good last year too. So
They were
I
sure,
think
but
I think.
I think with it being the Niners,
What
it
did the
was Jordan.
Niners do against us? I don't think they had a huge game against us last year. I'll look that up for us
I might be able to.
because we played them last year.
C-Mac had 45 yards on the ground.
He had a big touchdown pass. I remember that little
Yeah, he
sweep
had a
pass.
touchdown and a 51 receiving yards and a receiving touchdown. So still 22 fantasy points. But you are correct. He only had 3 yards per carry and just 3 receptions. He just did Christian McCaffrey things off
Yeah,
of the
and
touches.
whatchamacallit, not that guy. Jordan Mason, not that kind of pass catcher. It doesn't look like.
It was, for what it's worth, it was C-Mac's second worst game on the ground last year. His worst was week 5 against Dallas.
See, this is what I'm like. This is what I'm talking about. These are the stats you got to know.
I know. Week 11 at Tampa Bay at 3.7 yards per carry. Week 6 at Cleveland at 3.9. Every other game last year, he had 4.5 yards per carry or better, including a ceiling of 9.6 yards per carry in week 14. That's just ridiculous. Yes, good point here. Run defense was solid last year as well. And that's why, like, I kind of just mentioned this before you got on, but like for a lot of people looking at Jordan Mason, like you probably already have a few studs in front of him. You know, he was either a player you drafted at the end of your draft or you picked up off the waivers. And it's really, it makes the decisions much tougher this week. As does like owning like J.K. Dobbins, you know, going up against the Panthers is a great matchup, but you probably have studs in front of him. And I think it kind of boils down to matchup, and sometimes great players, like the matchup doesn't matter, and maybe Mason is a great player, but I think when you have players like this, Pollard, Rashad White, Jerome Ford, you know exactly what you're going to get. It makes it so tough that personally, I would probably prefer the competitive game script and the PPR upside in a guy like Rashad White. Call me crazy, but the Niners are also on the road in this game, you know. Because I think most people would just say like Mason and then their favorite out of the next two because of the way Mason looked in week 1, which is fair, but that was a home game against bottom 7 run defense off the top of my head. So the Browns are on the road. So I might just go Pollard and White. I know the Bucks are on the road, but I like that game script for the Bucks and Lions. But I trust your gut. These are all good options. Albert, what's up, man? Good to see you. All right, Axis, Myth, full PPR. Start Ingram or Parkinson. I'm still going Ingram. Still going Ingram. I like Parkinson if you're in trouble. Maybe you have Jake Ferguson or David Njoku. If you're not in trouble, which I don't think Ingram, you're in trouble, I still go Ingram. Start Stafford or Burrow. I'm going staph infection here.
Yeah, I like. Yeah. I think I don't know. It's too early to hop off the Joe Burrow train, but it's a good matchup for Stafford, and I am concerned about Joe Burrow.
The concern for Burrow is
legitimate.
Real.
Legit.
It's real.
It's scary.
Yeah. And I think we mentioned this last stream. We're going to get an answer because he's at Kansas City this week. Tough matchup, but and hard road game, but that helps us get an answer. Then he's got Washington and the Panthers.
So yeah, those are 2 get right games right there.
Yeah. And then week 5, they have Baltimore at home before facing the Giants on the road. So it's like we get a good blend of competitive game scripts, good defenses, and maybe the 3 worst defenses in the league. So we should get an answer on Burrow in the next coming weeks. But yeah, I really like this matchup between the Rams and Cardinals this week for fantasy. So I'll go Stafford. It just feels safer. Would you start DeMarcus Robinson over Metcalf or Tank Dell? It really depends. I'm probably going to say no. But if you need the upside, I'm okay with it because once again, this matchup, this Cardinals defense just not good. I don't love Metcalf this week. He's one of these players, of course, you can always pop off or like catch a touchdown, give you a solid stat line. But the Patriots defense is not bad. And I do like Tank. I think Tank Dell's got a lot of upside this week. I mean, he does every week. Dell's going to be one of those players. It's going to be really frustrating to own, but he's going to have those weeks where you're going to be happy you ended up flexing him. So, I mean, maybe like you faced, I think, those of you looking for upside right now, you faced James Cook or Devon Achane. That's probably about
I faced James Cook.
Yeah. Maybe both. If you face both, you're probably scared right now.
We're okay.
It might be over.
We'll call we wrap up week 2. Don't even sweat tomorrow if you face both those guys because you can't come back from that.
Well, you should never sweat. Just set your lineup and sit back,
Nope.
Sweat. I'll say if you need the upside, you could start Robinson. But I'd probably just roll Metcalf and Dell out there. And you guys know I'm a Robinson fan. So how do we feel about Kelsey right now? I have likely Lamar's quarterback and I have Pitts. Should I make a move? I mean, you don't need these 3 tight ends. I mentioned this in the buy low video. Like, this is the type of team because I ended up putting Isaiah Likely in the buy low video, and he's not really like a true buy low because of the performance he's coming off of, but he is a buy low in this type of circumstance. Like, if you have Kelsey, Likely, and Pitts, and you're just sitting there, your roster's kind of clogged right now. You don't need 3 tight ends. And you're probably going to end up having to sell a player like Likely a little bit lower, or you could sell Kelsey coming off a disappointing matchup lower. Pitts might be the best time ever to sell Pitts. He scored a week 1 touchdown, I would just try to trade one of these guys to a tight end needy team. Ferguson owner, Njoku owner, maybe someone who has like Kincaid and is freaking out right now, which we'll say there might be a little bit reason to be concerned about Kincaid right now.
I mean, he got two early he got the two early tunnel screens. I mean, Josh Allen scored 11 points and they beat the piss out of the Dolphins. I mean, I'm not happy. I have Josh Allen in multiple leagues, but it's like I'm feeling good. Yeah, we're feeling good about the Bills offense because James Cook's going to soften some things up if teams have to deal with him, which we kind of thought this is what they were going to look like. I think we undersold the Bills a little bit. Bills look really good.
They do look really good. Yeah, I mean, they look like just a tough team to match up against. But I mean, we talked about this in the offseason. Like, it's going to be Josh Allen running, James Cook running, James Cook getting much more involved. And then, I will say, admittedly, I thought Dalton Kincaid would be third in line. And I mean, actually, when you kind of break down last week, Khalil Shakir is probably the guy to own. But when you break down last week, it's Kincaid after Shakir. I mean, Shakir 5 targets, 3 targets week 1. Kincaid 4 targets last week or this current week, and then 2 targets week 1. And then Coleman looked like he was going to be something. Then he just
I saw multiple people put Coleman over props, over yards, over receptions.
Yeah, I liked him in this game too.
Yeah, so. He threw up a goose egg. Buffalo just likes confusing us. Okay, that's kind of their MO.
They do, but maybe if someone who owns Kincaid is freaking out still, or McBride is freaking out, or Andrews, but yeah, you just don't need these 3 tight ends. I mean, really, if you get equivalent value at any position, running back or wide receiver, I would take it for any one of these guys. Would you drop McLaughlin for Garrido? I don't even know.
Not even sure who he's trying to say.
Oh, wait, Isaac. Oh, I'm sorry. I was thinking kickers. I was thinking Chase McLaughlin, but we're talking McLaughlin.
Jaleel McLaughlin.
Yeah. Gosh, I'm already getting my players mixed up. It's only week 2. I know some people are rushing to add Isaac Guerrero, but I just don't know that I'm going to. I mean, we're basically, I think, hunting for a Jordan Mason injury at this point. I mean, maybe I'm wrong, and the depth chart's really weird right now for the Niners behind Mason, but we're also assuming that this is going to be the number 2 guy. I mean, it's definitely not Eli Mitchell. He's gonna have hamstring surgery, so he's donezo, right? We know that, but I mean, Garando, I don't know how to say his last name, was only on the field for 4% of snaps last week. I mean, they probably will get someone else involved, I guess. I mean, Mason on the field for 81% of snaps, and then they actually had Kyle Juszczyk was at 56%, but he's also out there at times with the running backs out there. Then it's just Patrick Taylor, who had 0 snaps last week. So I'm not really big on McLaughlin, so I guess you could. I still like the Niners offense more, but I don't think it's going to really impact your roster, unfortunately. We'll find out. Got AJ, and because it's a hammy injury, I'm going to err on caution and sit and roll the dice with Pittman and Godwin. I mean, I think that's fine. If you have good options that you like, and I like Pittman a lot this week. I think he'll be more involved. It's a really good matchup. And I like Godwin a ton this week. It's another just smash matchup for Godwin. Both the Lions and the Bucks are really poor against slot wide receivers. So Godwin and Kupp, I mean, just in general, should do well because both these secondaries are bad, but also should just do really well because they both line up out of the slot a lot. So I don't know if maybe Kupp's role changes or whatever this week, but I like Pittman this week. I like Godwin. It's tough to bench AJ, but lately, the injuries have been impacting us in a bad way. So might be smart. Should I sell C-Mac for Henry and Bowers, have A-Chain, Mason, Najee, and Andrews? Here's the thing with selling Christian McCaffrey. I'm okay with it. You just kind of have to face 2 realities. The first reality is you take the gamble and it pays off because he misses more than 4 weeks, which maybe still doesn't pay off because let's say he misses 6 weeks and he comes back and he's fully healthy, and then he's just Christian McCaffrey again. And then it's like, well, maybe he does come back, even though it's 4 or 6 weeks. And they use both Jordan Mason and Christian McCaffrey to try and keep C-Mac healthy, because this is still a team that looks like they're going to make a deep playoff run. So the C-Mac thing is really tough. Now, if you don't want to deal with the headache of it all, I think this trade's fine. I do. But I personally would try to get a wide receiver over Bowers. I mean, I get it.
We had a pretty in-depth conversation about what the value is wide receiver wise for CMC, and it's kind of all nobody knows. Like nobody knows.
I've seen so many trades involving Christian McCaffrey online this week that it's like, I don't know what the true value is. Some people want like a first round player, and just straight up a first round player. Some people want like 2 lower tier guys, like Henry and Bowers, I guess, a good example, or like they want, or maybe they want 2 more valuable players like Henry and Ayuk, or Henry and London, or I've seen so many different trades. It's all over the place. I've seen like Jordan Mason involved in a lot of trades, like Jordan Mason and
get whoever,
whatever, name one wide receiver.
Tank Dell. There was a good guy we talked about, like a medium tier wide receiver, a good flex play most weeks.
So for me, it's really tough to answer. I think this trade is probably fine, but I'd probably try to swap Bowers here and add a wide receiver. Unless you're just stacked at wide receiver.
Good. You have to see how desperate, like whoever has CMC, you have wait this week, because if that CMC team is 0-2, you're going to be able, because they can't wait. Like they have to make a move to try and win games. So you're going to be able, and if you're 2-0, you can buy CMC low and try and gut it out for 5, let's call it 5 weeks. Let's say he misses this game and then 4 more games coming up. And if you can gut it out for 5 weeks, you're already 2-0, you go 3-2 in 5 weeks. And then now you're stacking CMC with an elite tier team over here because you bought him super low. You're going to be a problem for the playoffs. Like the fantasy season is long, guys. It's not, it's a marathon, not a sprint, but it feels sprinty right now because the world is falling around you.
Yeah. The Catch League 5, I drafted from the number 1 overall spot, and I have Christian McCaffrey, and I have Tua. It's been a bad week.
Not great. I took Tyreek Hill right after you, so we're burning the Tyreek Hill stock over here too.
And I'm probably gonna lose this week. I'm facing Jason has Stroud, Pollard, Jordan Mason, Xavier Worthy, Nico, Laporta, Cup, and AJ Brown.
Yeah, it's a pretty bad matchup.
He benched Shakir, but his other flex options aren't great. But either way, that is a tough matchup. I'm projected to lose by 30 points. I already started Tua. So, yeah, like I might be a team who ends up selling C-Mac low. But knowing me and the way I play, I'll probably just let him sit on my IR.
Yeah.
Just to spite.
That's a little bit more your speed. Just spite everybody.
Yeah. No one else can have him. Need one flex, Ford, Lazard, or Dell. Full PPR, I'm going Dell. Just give me the upside. If you don't like it, you can go Ford. I think he's a very safe floor. Let's get a bigger sample size from Lazard first. If he scores even just 1 touchdown this week, I think we can probably start considering him a solid flex. I would start Neighbors, David, over Marvin Harrison Jr. The matchup is so juicy. I was pretty high to start the week on Marvin Harrison Jr., and I still like him. But as the week went on, I started to get a little bit, I don't want to say low, but lower than I was. And what it boils down to is I really like the matchup and the game script between the Rams and the Cardinals. But Neighbors at Washington just feels too good to pass up. Dobbins or Charbonnet? Dobbins for sure. Dobbins for sure. Don't ignore that matchup. Silver Rapture, what's up? Parkinson or Atkins? Full PPR. I'll go Parkinson. Atkins is interesting. I kind of was disappointed in myself that he didn't make today's video for last minute waiver ads. So I was literally filming that video, and I was going to talk about Jawan Johnson because Foster Moreau was looking like he wasn't going to play, and then literally when I was filming it, it got announced that Foster Moreau was gonna play. So it was like I got to Juwan Johnson and I'd like clicked on Foster Moreau and it was like 5 minutes ago. He's cleared to play. But Atkins, who will be starting in lieu of David Njoku, and looked not bad, at least last week. He had 4 targets, 3 receptions. Good enough. 6.7 yards per carry or per catch. It's probably okay, but yeah, I like Parkinson a lot more here. Rock got offered Dobbins and Pittman for C-Mac. Already have Mason. Should I take it? Other running back is White. See, like this is another good example of a CMC trade. I still think this is slightly underselling Christian McCaffrey. I think there's just too much unknown with J.K. Dobbins. I'm really high on Dobbins here in week 2. But once again, we talked about it earlier in the stream. You know, his touches compared to Gus Edwards' touches last week are right next to each other. It's basically a 50-50 split. Dobbins was just actually efficient, you know. The Chargers have a weird schedule. Like this is a smash week for Dobbins, I think, but then they're at Pittsburgh, then they have Kansas City at home. Then they have a bye week 5, or early bye. And they're at Denver, at Arizona. Those are probably good. Then they have the Saints, the Browns, and the Titans. So it's just kind of a weird schedule here. And I think some of these games are going to be bad for fantasy. Then the early bye is not great. But I think this is just slightly underselling Christian McCaffrey for recency biasy. I think it kind of depends on the rest of the team. I'll say that much. All right, Jason, we got full PPR, 2 wide receivers, 2 running backs, and a flex. You got Achane, Gibbs, Etienne, Olave, MH Jr., Rice, and London. Who should I start and bench? So I'm hoping you already started Achane. I'm assuming you did. There's no other running backs. So, or I guess you got 3. So Achane, Gibbs, Olave, Rice. And I think the last one, you have 2 kind of upside plays. You have London going against the Eagles secondary. It feels scary, but I think it'll pay off. I think the more grounded play is Marvin Harrison Jr. So depends on if you want the upside or not. Then, I mean, ETN is probably still fine. Let's see here. The Browns in week 1, right in the middle, 17th against the run.
That was kind of a weird game. But the Browns on the road this week, question mark?
Yeah.
They're the worst defense in football on the road.
I know. I think full PPR probably still flex a wide receiver here. So I probably go Marvin Harrison Jr. for a floor, London for upside, and I probably start Gibbs over ETN, and I hope that you started Achane. Full PPR, we got ETN, Monty, Ford, B-Rob, start 2, and flex 1. So, I mean, like in this case, due to volume, I'll go ETN. And I'm starting B-Rob this week if I can.
Yeah. We smashing that B-Rob train, baby. Yeah. I think that was like my first sleeper I had all the way back when we did our first shorts.
That's your guy, yeah.
I love B-Rob. Started him last week against you. Start him again this week.
I think if he's fully healthy, I really think Brian Robinson might be a top 10 back. I just think that offense, they're going to just want to use him as a true workhorse. And yeah, I think the touchdown upside's so high, but he gets the Giants this week here in week 2. So I would probably go Ford. I just really think Jerome Ford, once again, due to volumes, due for another big week. I know it's tough to bench Monty, but we have to remember that as good as Monty looked in week 1, he did like
10 and a half points in the last drive of the game, basically.
Yeah. Basically.
In overtime.
You know, the Bucks looked really bad against the run in week 1. Good against the pass, which was interesting. Maybe a result.
No Winfield this week, so I think that kind of helps both. I think that hurts in the passing game and the running game because Winfield's a good safety.
Yeah.
But I think Detroit. I mean, Detroit couldn't move the ball in the second half of the game, and they were all Gibbs, and then they go to
Yeah.
Monty at the end of that. So maybe we're gonna see more Monty here. I'm rolling with Monty over Charbs because everyone's on the Charbs train, and I'm like,
All
I
right.
don't
Well,
want to play. I don't want to play
I
New
agree with that.
England. I don't want to play New
Yeah.
England.
So yeah, I guess I go ETN Ford B Rob. No disrespect to Monty. All right, Jerry at the bottom of the chat with the super chat. What's up, Jer? I go against John this week, so it's real personal.
Bad.
To go over
Bad
our
advice
player
only.
matchup, had to pull out the OG catch hoodie from the first season win. Yes, congrats on winning the first ever. I didn't even realize we were playing each other. First ever catch fam league ever. That was a crazy league because we drafted like mid-season. It's a mid-season league. All right, Jer, we'll do it for you. So you've got Mahomes, Mixon, Pollard, JJ, Pittman, Kelsey, Davis, Eckler. Who's on your bench? You have 3 quarterbacks. That's right. You drafted a second quarterback by accident, or third by accident. You drafted Herbert by accident. You probably have to keep your flex as is. I still think Eckler's a good floor this week just because it's the Giants and you at least got that PPR upside last week. So Gabe Davis is interesting. But yeah, I mean, your starting lineup outside of flex is really strong. Pollard, Mixon, JJ, Pittman, Kelsey makes me pretty nervous here. I've got Baker, Barkley. I'm hurting at RB2. I don't know why. I just went really light at running back in this league. And I guess it's because I liked Zamir White so much in the offseason. He was trash week 1. So I've got Baker, Barkley, White, Garrett Wilson, Metcalf, Goddard, Dell, McLaurin, Love, Javante, Worthy, Cooks, Dobbs. So this is a tough team. It's like maybe I want to bench Metcalf this week. And put in Worthy for upset.
Tank Dell,
But
weird matchup.
Yeah. Got Goddard. He doesn't have a high ceiling. But you have like the added projections like Mahomes is juiced, JJ's going to be juiced, and Kelsey's going to be juiced in projections. So you're projected to beat me right now by 8 points about. So this is going to be a good matchup.
I think JJ gonna have a bad. I think if JJ has a low scoring game, the Vikings are in a better shot to win that game. Instead if JJ has a big game, I think we're in worse shape. So
yeah,
I think that one's a weird one.
A bad game for JJ in fantasy is still probably double digits.
Yeah, what he do last week was a bad game for JJ, like 50 yards and 60 yards and a touchdown. Yeah, 4 catches. Yeah. There's your bad JJ game.
Yeah. So yeah, Jerry, I think you have the advantage at RB2. I'm really high on Baker this week, so I think quarterback's gonna be closer than it looks. RB1 should be pretty neck. I really like Pollard this week. I'll still give the nod to JJ over Wilson. McLaurin and Pittman both have really good matchups, so I think they're gonna be close. Kelsey Goddard, I have no idea. I just honestly no idea on either side. I'll take Dell over Gabe Davis. And whether I flex Metcalf or Worthy, I'll take him over Eckler. But I still think this is going to be a close matchup. So should be fun, as always. See what happens, bro. Good luck. And thank you for the super chat, Jer. All right, Tommy, what's going on? Is Jordan Mason last year's A-Chain for fantasy that league-winning find? So glad I swooped him in my home league, ready to smash. I would say he's probably closer to like a potential Kyron Williams, but then maybe A-Chain's a better comparison because Mostert was also there. And C-Mac, I don't know. I mean, what are your guys' thoughts? Like, C-Mac should be back this year, right? Like,
yeah. I don't think anybody. Okay, nobody drafted Jordan Mason thinking Jordan Mason was going to be good. It was like CMC insurance. potentially for this weird nebulous calf injury. People drafting A-Chain last year knew A-Chain was a stud in college, and people were like, "Oh no, this guy could be number one back in Miami." Instantly, they spent high draft capital on him. Like, I think it's a little bit different. I think it's closer to Kyron Williams, kind of a guy who you don't really know, and he's gonna have some big weeks. I mean, how good is Jordan Mason? He's been there 3 years. He really hasn't seen much of the field. I think anybody can run for 100 yards and a touchdown in Kyle Shanahan's offense. I truly believe that now. So maybe we see him come back down to earth, and the Jets are just really, really that bad at run defense.
Yeah, I'm not denying that Mason is going to be very valuable just based on where you either drafted him or the fact that you got him off waivers, right? He's going to feel...
He's a Kyle Shanahan running back. He's like awesome. He's going to be good. You didn't spend anything on him.
And that's the big thing, right? Is when you play, you end up with a player so cheap, because A-Chain still ended up for a lot of people as a waiver wire addition. Because what happened too with A-Chain is like some people even like had drafted him and then like
cut him after week
dropped
one.
him
because he didn't play week one.
Right. And then he did nothing basically in week 2. Like it looked like, he's just not involved, and Mostert was like,
touchdown machine. Yeah.
He had 3 touchdowns through the first 2 weeks and 38 fantasy points in those, combined in those first 2 games. And then week 3 happened where A-Chain had 51 points, So that was really, for a lot of leagues, he got picked up after week 3.
I have a bad frame of reference, I guess. Like, I play with a bunch of A&M guys. Like, we all knew who Devon A-Chain was. Devon A-Chain was drafted very high, and we were not letting him go because we're like, he's going to be good. We knew.
And I was really high on, a lot of people remember I was really high on A-Chain going into the year. But even me being really high on A-Chain fantasy-wise, it was
late.
The start to the season was like, I think I dropped him in a league. But then again, now there was...
You have a million leagues. He's so hard to keep track of.
Well, I remember...
Yeah, good.
I remember drafting him in that league, and because I liked, and it was a half PPR league too, and there was reason to drop him, don't get me wrong, but I definitely regretted that heavily. So we'll move on. We'll find out, Tommy. All right, pick 2 in PPR. We got Brian Thomas, Kirk, Cooks, Demarcus Robinson, and likely also have Andrews. So I feel like owning Brian Thomas and Christian Kirk is going to be so frustrating this year. And my answer right now is Kirk gives you a floor, lower ceiling. B-Tom gives you the higher ceiling. I probably start Brian Thomas, and I do really like Brandon Cooks as a sneaky play this week. So I'm okay going Cooks, but if you want to go B-Rob, that's okay. If you want to flex likely, I'm okay with it. But I probably go for upside. I go Demarcus Robinson and likely. For a floor, I go B-Tom and Cooks. I'm scared of Christian Kirk right now, and you guys know that takes a lot for me to say. But I'm the 2 guys that I'm scared of right now are Trevor Lawrence and Christian Kirk. I always back them up, and I just don't know if I'm going to back them up right now. We got to see something.
Maybe it's just like a weird Doug Peterson, just that guy, like that fourth down. Like they were cruising 17-3. ETN's walking into the end zone. That game was over, and it was like, oh, great fantasy day for us. Like Christian Kirk didn't do anything, but it was like solid day for everybody. And the Jags are back, and now it's like, oh boy, I'm not ready. I think they're gonna have.
I'm not writing them off, but they're concerning me. And every year I'm like, don't be concerned about the Jaguars, and I just don't know. My panic lever is high. The meter's high.
Their schedule's not great coming up, but I guess the defense. Like, how good is the Bills' defense? How good is the Texans' defense? Colts' defense not very good either. I don't think.
We need sample sizes to increase here. Should I start B-Tom on Sunday in case AJ Brown doesn't play? One's more steep because like once again, I'm concerned about Kirk and T-Law. I don't want to overreact to the fact that Brian Thomas Jr. scored a touchdown in week 1. It looked very good. But like, is he going to score a touchdown every single week? I don't know. I definitely think he is in a really good spot for a rookie wide receiver. 4 targets, 4 receptions, 47 receiving yards, a touchdown, 11.7 yards per catch, 14.7 fantasy points. So we take away the touchdown. He doesn't have a double-digit performance. He has 8 points. Plus, it'd actually be less because you take away the receiving yards on the play too. So I don't want to overreact completely. You really have to, like, when you have a player who's going to play Monday night, I always tell you guys, you got to make the decision.
That's a
because
tough. Yeah, Monday night sucks.
my guess is as good as yours if AJ Brown's going to play. We don't really know the severity of the hamstring injury here. So, I think if you're worried about it, just roll with Brian Thomas. Never had it so good. We need one in PPR. Gus Bus, Javonte, or McLaughlin. I'll go Gus Bus. Yeah. Just take the matchup. Take the matchup. There's like a 80% chance. I don't know why this number came up with, but an 80% chance that Gus Edwards and J.K. Dobbins score this week. That's how bad the Panthers' run defense is.
This is true. I agree.
Yes. All right, Elias with the super chat at the bottom of the chat. Thank you for the $4.99 dono. So I made a trade. Ever in the group chat saying I got fleeced. I need some reassurance. I traded Chase, Swift, and Chubb for ETN and Debo. Swift was my RB2. I don't think you got fleeced. It really depends on how you view Swift and the value of Chubb. Now, Chase is the most valuable player in this trade. I'll say that much. But ETN and Debo were both second rounders this year. So you basically traded a first rounder and 2 late round running backs for 2 second rounders. I don't want to say you got fleeced, but I think people are just going to see Chase gone. But once again, if you're worried about the Bengals offense,
get out of the Bengals offense. Debo's going to have a good week this week, I think. Debo and the Niners, I mean, I'm not worried about them. I am worried about the Bengals severely. And Chase, say the Bengals are really this bad. What's stopping Jamar Chase from saying, I'm not playing the rest of this? I'm done. I'm holding out. Give me my contract.
Right. And Debo, he's going to see some weeks where Ayuk will be better this year. He will not be as rusty as he was week 1, but I'm not really worried. Debo's going to be fine. And also Debo benefited from C-Mac not playing, and right now C-Mac ain't playing. I'll say this as a Swift truther in the offseason, I'd much rather have ETN. And Chubb, to me, once again, I talked about this throughout the week. Chubb is, I already said it throughout the offseason, they're not going to rush Chubb back. And Chubb might not even play this year, A. But also, B, when you look at what the Browns gave us in week 1, Chubb is not rushing to get back out on the field, not anytime soon. So I will say that this trade is fine. I don't think you got fleeced. I think if you just look at it, ETN for Swift and Chubb, you win there for sure. If you're worried about the Bengals offense, which a lot of people are, then Debo for Chase. I would still probably prefer Chase, but I think it's perfectly fine. And you say I wasn't worried about Chase at all. I just really needed to replace Swift. Fair. And that's the other thing is I think when you look at a trade in essence, you have to look at the final product. What does your full roster look like now? If your full roster is overly improved, your wide receiver room still really strong, your running back room is much better, then the trade is still a win for you. So let the group chat fleece you or
roast
you, whatever the kids say these days. And
hello, fellow youth.
The trade is, I have seen far, far, far worse trades. I don't think it's that bad, man. All right, Sport Dog 1000. What's up? 18 PPR Superflex. I need 2 flex. We got DJ Moore, Terry McLaurin, Dobbins, Pickens, Jalen, Warren, or Brian Robinson. Want to use JK and Robinson, but have Barkley and Bijan Robinson. Okay, 8-teamer. So we want the most upside possible. Call me crazy. I would just throw J.K. Dobbins and Brian Robinson Jr. out there. And then start Barkley and Bijan. Now, I will say DJ Moore should have a better week. He should see increased volume. The Texans' defense is not good, at least from a fantasy perspective. I think they have good players. They're not good. At least they weren't good. I mean, Alec Pierce is balling out on you. I mean, like,
yikes.
Yeah. Now Terry McLaurin is the one name that I think kind of stands out just because he's playing the Giants, and the Giants are playing Washington. This game's going to go one of two ways. Like, we're going to see points scored, or it's just going to be one of those games where, like, the defenses suck, but the offenses are inexperienced and/or suck, and we struggle to see points on the board. So I like to think that we're going to get points on the board, but I'm also a little back and forth on that game. But a guy like Brian Robinson, I think, benefits in this game a lot. So I'd roll Dobbins and Brian Robinson because I think the touchdown upside is huge there. So, but 8-teamers, never know. Says like and sub for the dub.
Yeah, like and sub, everybody on both channels. Everybody do it. Hit the like button. Hit the like button.
Do it. Aaron Reborn is Lamar at quarterback. That your previous question is so far up that I forgot what we were. It was a trade question. But Lamar at quarterback is good. And yeah, okay. Now I remember the rest of your team. You probably still don't need to make any changes here. I just don't know if you can. Ingram are likely with Andrews back. Well, Andrews played last week.
He felt like he didn't play.
Yeah, felt like he was hurt, but I'll say this much: Ingram for a floor, likely for upside. But guys, I am in on likely. I'm in. I don't think it's a 1 week wonder. I get that the Chiefs shut him out. I know there's been like really good breakdowns on that, and I still think Andrews is fine. But I think that you just have to look at the makeup of this offense and the roster as a whole, and likely / Andrews are the pass catcher twos on this team. There's no one at wide receiver behind Flowers that's putting any fear into opponents. And then Justice Hill is the pass catcher 4. Like, and likely to go back to last year when Andrews was out, very productive. I don't think likely is a 1 week wonder. So that's just my take. And Oz says Andrews are likely. Once again, if you want the floor, go Andrews. If you want the upside, go likely. So Tone, need the highest ceiling of my earlier flex question. Let me see if I'm able to find it. Ford, Lazard, or Dell. Flex 1. The highest upside's Dell. I go Dell, Ford, Lazard for upside. All right. Ronaldo for flex PPR, Ford, Worthy, or Cooks. Thank you. For a floor, I go Ford. For upside, I would go Worthy. I think Cooks is okay too, but I think I like the other two too much to feel like I need to start Cooks. I know Cooks scored week 1. But... All right. McClan has got Mixon or Mason. This is tough. That's tough. I'm probably still going Mixon on Sunday Night Football. The Bears defense was good week 1, but Tony Pollard tore them up. So I think Mixon's going to have another big game. Derek, hello. What's up? All right, Eduardo, 12-man PPR. The starters are A. Rich Hall, Kyron Ayuk, DK, JMO, Bauer, Shakir. Bench is Benson, Higgins, Chandler, Downs, Amir. What can I do to improve? Should I trade or hold my team? So the starting lineup looks good. Higgins is a bummer.
But he could be good.
He's a good piece. Yeah, I would hold him in this circumstance for sure. The problem is if you're going to trade, you got to trade someone low like DK or Ayuk, or you got to trade JMO high. Shakir, there's not enough unless you just have like a really wide receiver needy team. Like they drafted, you have Higgins, but they drafted Puka, AJ Brown, and now they're in a bind. I don't know, but yeah, you're gonna have to trade one of these guys who I feel like you probably want to keep. And then who are you going to package him with? Higgins? Like, I feel like you should keep Higgins because it doesn't really.
Yeah, his value is trash right now.
Yeah, you're trading him for pennies here. Then what are you going to package someone with? Zamir White is probably your best chance because you can argue he's the RB1, unless like you find a team that has Aaron Jones or James Conner because you're going to trade them the handcuff here. So I think DK and Ayuk are good holds and good buy lows, but not sell lows. So you're probably looking at packaging like JMO, who I still really like, and like Zamir White, and then upgrading at wide receiver. I feel like you're just riding Breece Hall and Kyron Williams until the wheels fall off, and then playing the waiver for anything else. Or you got a lot of handcuffs, so your wide receivers aren't bad, but the ceiling's a little limited, maybe outside of JMO there. So other than that, I mean, the team looks good. You have a lot of upside at running back, quarterback. You got Bowers too. So. Screwed this week. He last minute flex A. Chaney as Barkley and Ramondre is projected 137. I'm projected 109 because of Hill. Do I have a chance? Have JT Kyler, MH, Dobbins, Andrews? Yeah, there's a chance. Don't look at projections. They don't mean anything. I can't tell you how many times I'm projected to win. Thursday night football is over. The Sunday slate is over.
I was projected to lose by double digits going into overtime of that Sunday night game last week, and I won the game by 2 points because of David Montgomery. David Montgomery scoring 10.5 points and Breece Hall not scoring 13. Like, it's like, the computers are stupid, guys. They don't know anything. Projections are terrible. Now, if there's 2 minutes left of the game and the projection says you're going to lose by 7, you're probably going to lose that game. I'm going to be honest. But yeah, don't worry about it. I mean, yeah, Ramondre and Barkley have huge projections. Like, what if they do nothing?
I don't even look at matchups until like maybe sometime Monday. It's like, I mean, I don't get me wrong, I look leading into them, but in terms of like, what's the project? Unless my entire lineup has played, it's like you just never know. So yes, there's definitely hope. All right, send Monty for Godwin. You have H.N. Gibbs, Monty, McLaughlin, right. Wide receivers are Wilson, Reed, Higgins, Deontay, Shakir, Johnson. I think you can. Monty is pretty valuable for your team, Derek, because you do have Gibbs. It's a fair trade. I mean, I really like Godwin, and you could use some wide receiver help on this team with Shakir, Deontay giving you low ceilings, Higgins not playing. I'm okay with it, but yeah, like you're saying, it does really impact your running back depth because McLaughlin and Jalen Wright are practically useless, in my opinion, right now. So, are you like 0-1? It's looking tough for week 2 because the problem is if you're in like a double flex, you're in a bind because you're playing with a low ceiling in the flex. You might even be flexing Monty if you didn't already flex Shakir. So I think I'd hold, and I think the deciding factor is because you have Gibbs, so it ensures a handcuff for you. All right, guys, don't forget, if you do want a question answered right away, you guys can send a super chat. Trying our best to work through the entire chat, but I'm like 50 minutes behind in the chat. So we'll probably be going for about another hour. If you guys want something answered right away, go ahead and send a super chat. If not, just doing our best to get through every single question. Appreciate you guys, and please keep the fantasy questions going either way. And of course, if you guys are in the chat and want to help each other out, encourage that as well. All right, J2 Nice. We got Ramondre, White, or Charbs. I probably just stick with White. That's my guy. So I probably just stick with Rachaad White. I do like this matchup. It's a bad matchup, but Rachaad White is the type of player who I don't think matchup really matters. He didn't even have a good game on the ground last week, but he still had 16 fantasy points. So now I think it's another good week for Ramondre Stevenson, though. So if you want to go Ramondre, I'm okay with it. But I like the Bucks-Lions game. I expect more points scored in that game. So we got 2 wide receivers, 2 running backs, and a flex. Chase, Mooney, Lockett, Dell, Mondres, Etienne, Mason. Also have Murray and Burrow. I'd start Chase and Dell, Ramondre, Etienne, and flex Mason. And start Kyler over Burrow. I got CMC, London, Devontae Adams, Rice, Debo, Ingram, Gus Bus, Javonte. I need to trade for running back. What should I do? Wait. I mean, the problem is too at this point in the week, like you're kind of panic trading. You know what I mean? You're just like doing a trade to get a trade done, and you're gonna end up giving up too much value. Now, the main reason I say to wait is because Gus Edwards might have a big week this week against the Panthers, and you can sell him at a better value. The risk is that J.K. Dobbins just goes crazy and Gus Bus does nothing again. But does that really hurt you? You're already selling Gus Bus for like nothing right now. And you're selling Javonte for nothing right now. And I do think, I mean, you have some wide receiver depth, but 4 wide receivers is like, you want to have a minimum of 4 start-worthy wide receivers. So, I mean, what can you do? Like, because Gus Edwards and Javonte kind of underperformed. You know, like right now it looks like Dobbins and McLaughlin are the more valuable guys. So you'd have to like does packaging one of those running backs with the wide receiver here even really help? I don't know. I don't think so. So you'd have to sell one of the 4 wide receivers straight up at value is the only thing you can really do. And I think that hurts your team. So I just hold and hope that the wide receiver value gets you through the week. You might be starting the Gus Bus and Javonte. Oz also have Alan Lazard. Thinking of dropping it for Leggett or Rico Dowdle. I'd personally hold Alan Lazard. I think you're fine at running back for now. Alexander Madison's out. I'd hold Lazard personally. I do like Leggett, but I'd hold Lazard. Running backs are Hall, Kenneth, Ford, Warren. Should I trade away Mason for a wide receiver like Olave or DK? You can. If you feel like your team needs the depth. But still, like Kenneth is already hurt. So you really have Hall and Ford you're leaning on. I don't know about Jalen Warren. I mean, it looks like Arthur Smith wants to run Najee into the ground.
Does anybody know what Arthur Smith wants to do?
No.
Who knows what Arthur Smith wants to do?
No. Nobody but Satan and Arthur Smith.
Arthur Smith doesn't even know what he wants. I feel like he just makes it up as he goes.
You know, I've come to respect Arthur Smith, I think, just because he is so frustrating.
He doesn't care what anybody else thinks or says.
Right.
He does what he wants to do. Well, that's what happens when you are, he does this for a hobby. You guys know that. His dad invented FedEx. Like his dad, he's a billionaire, Arthur Smith. He coaches football for fun. He doesn't have to work. Does it for fun.
I did not know that.
Yeah, his dad like created FedEx. So he's like a billionaire. He is a billionaire, Arthur Smith. So good for him. He likes coaching.
Good for him too.
Likes grinding, coaching football. But it makes those early years easy, right? Like you don't have to worry about a paycheck when you're a GA assistant at 25.
He does have a mustache too, so fellow mustache gang. Yeah, getting back to the question. You can do this trade, but also like having running back depth is not a bad thing. So it would depend on what wide receivers you already have. Yeah, I would start Kyler over Burrow this week, Oz. Got offered Rice, Kenneth, and Herbert for Kyler, Devontae, and Pickens. Once again, it's going to depend on the team. Kenneth is hurt. Rather have Kyler than Herbert. Rather have Rice than Adams or Pickens, but I'm not going to say that Adams and Pickens don't have value, just potentially lower ceilings. This is an interesting trade, but I don't know if I'm in on Herbert from a fantasy perspective this year. We'll see what the coming weeks bring. tell you who likes Justin Herbert is Jim Harbaugh.
Jim Harbaugh loves.
Dude.
Did you see that Jim Harbaugh clip from this week where he talk about who he likes football people and football people like him and
Yeah.
non-football people don't like him because he wants to try and get them to like football. Like that was such a if you dislike Jim Harbaugh, you're an Ohio State fan or just an awful person.
Yeah, all the Jim Harbaugh quotes from the week were incredible. Nino, team looks like Kyler, T-Law, Cook, Connor, B-Rob, Warren, Jay Jettis, Debo, Adams, Pickens, Scary, Terry. I'm trying to scroll up and make sure there wasn't. Okay, I think this is just. So let's see. This week I'd start Kyler. Hopefully you started Cook. You should have, regardless, and then start Connor. Connor's a great start this week. He hasn't come up tonight, but I love James Conner this week. That Rams defense got torched last week defensively. Obviously defensively, but on the ground and also through the air. I think Connor's gonna have a good week. Start Jay Jettis, start Debo. The flex is tough here because I do think you can flex Brian Robinson, but you're probably gonna flex Adams or Pickens. Oh, and this was referring to the trade you just brought up. Sorry. So if you did the trade, you'd have in your starting lineup Kyler, Cook, Connor, B-Rob, Kenneth. You'd be good at running back. Then at wide receiver, you'd have Jay Jettis, Rice, Debo, Scary Terry. But then you go quarterback goes to T-Law and Herbert. I just don't know that this trade really benefits you enough to do the trade, and then I think it hurts you at quarterback. So I don't think I'd do it. Your team's fine as is. I don't think I'd do it. Ingram or Goddard with Brown, questionable. Ingram. I'll go Ingram. Drop Allen Lazard for Khalil Shakir. I think you can definitely do that. We'll find out what the Lazard experience is going to bring this year. Marco, I got offered to give Laporta for Ramondre and Goddard. You've got JT Javante, Bucky Benson, and Dowdle. Your running backs do suck, so I can see why you'd consider this. I think Goddard is just going to be a 6, 7, 8-point guy every week unless he scores a touchdown. And I don't really know how to read Laporta after week 1. But he's still at 8.5 fantasy points. So I don't know that I want to sell Laporta this low. But I can definitely see why you're considering it. I think I'd hold. Laporta. All right, Tommy, trying to trade one of my running backs to upgrade a wide receiver. What about Ridley and Jacobs or Mike Evans? Then I'd have Rice, Evans, Kyron, A-Chain, Flex Mason, and one of McMillan, Demarcus Robinson, or Randall Robinson. So I don't know, Tommy. Gosh, you just cannot help yourself. You were just always trading, which I get.
Some guys like
let
that.
Me take. Yeah, I know. I respect it. Let me because aren't you're starting 4 running backs right now, right? Here we go. Daniels, Rice, Demarcus Robinson, Kyron, Mason, McBride, Jacobs, A-Chain. I kind of like your team how it is. You have Ridley, Watson, Coleman, Randall, McMillan on the bench at wide receiver. I kind of like the 4 RB start. I think I'd hold your team. You're just kind of you're like rotating your wide receiver too. Like usually you see a team where you're like rotating an RB2, but you have like 4 current workhorse running backs, Jaden Daniels, Trey McBride, then Rashee Rice is your wide receiver 1. Then like this week, you can start Christian Watson, Randall Robinson, or Demarcus Robinson. You know, you're probably fading Christian Watson, but the other two have great matchups. Like you just kind of go for the most upside at wide receiver too. But you're saying if you traded Jacobs and Ridley, could you get Evans? I don't even know if that trade. Like I feel like if Jordan Love is still healthy, yes, but I don't know if that trade will go through right now. And then even then, I don't know if it would go through.
Jordan Love is healthy. What do you mean he's starting? I heard he was starting tomorrow. Matt LaFleur told me he's questionable. I was told. What do you mean? He's not out a month.
Matt LaFleur is not going to let us know until kickoff.
Yeah. Okay. Please play. You know what? Play Jordan Love, because then we'll never see you the rest of the season.
We might not. I think I'd hold Tommy. I'd like your team. It's interesting. All right, Jerry, you already reviewed your team. I should have told you the opposite, though, because I am playing you. Mason, looking at an 0-2 start because Keon Coleman gave me 0 points. Is that still comebackable? Yes, I know that's not a word. It is. I've gone into matchups with a goose egg and come out and won. It literally just about anything is possible when it comes to fantasy football. So, it is. But yeah, Keon Coleman definitely gave us reason to be cautious this week. I thought he'd be a solid flex, but I also thought this game script would be much more competitive, and it was
bad.
The least competitive game we've seen all year long.
No, I mean Saints Panthers.
Saints. That's true. Stroh tonight, we got a flex option: Cooper, McLaurin, or B. Tom in PPR. I think Cooper and McLaurin will both bounce back this week. I'll go Cooper. Okay. But I think you could argue McLaurin. I think you could argue B. Tom here too. But I think Cooper's going to bounce back this week against the Jags. I think McLaurin will bounce back against the Giants, so that's tough.
I mean, he has to. Scary Terrace, dude. They have to throw the ball.
Yeah, they can't just not throw the football.
Yeah, Dan Quinn was really annoyed that they ran the ball so much. It sounded like, or at least Jane Daniels ran the ball so much. He was kind of like, we need to throw. We need to run Brian Robinson and Austin
Eckler. Terry had 4 targets.
That needs to double. We need 8 targets for Terry this week.
I mean, Cooper at least had 9, and dropped what should have been a touchdown. So
yeah, but there's a big but there.
Yeah, and then Watson is a quarterback. So
and no Njoku hurt. All you have to do is guard Amari Cooper now. Jerry Jeudy might, he might be that guy.
Still kind of like Jeudy is a sleepy guy.
I thought the Jags D looked good though. The Jags D. Maybe the
they
Dolphins
still gave
are just
up.
Terrible. They gave up a touchdown to Tyreek Hill. Only Tyreek Hill could have scored on that play.
That might be fair. Because in terms of fantasy points, they're 26th through week 1. Allowed points to wide receivers. But I think you take away that Tyreek Hill play, you got a point.
Yeah.
Got a point.
That hurts. They were really good for 90% of that game. Now you got to be good for 100% of the game, but
we got a call in the chat. Flexing Amari Cooper, Scary Terry, or B. Tom. It's a tough choice. I think we kind of unofficially agreed on Terry McLaurin. Due to my home league as Tua, Puka, and Kenneth.
Rip, sir. Goodbye. Salute.
Hit the waivers. McClan, should I make any moves? Team looks like Kyler, Jaden, and Fields, double quarterback. Brees, Gibbs, Mixon, Mason. Ooh. And Chase Brown. Nice. Nico, Amari, Demarcus Robinson, Keon Coleman, McBride. IR has got Brooks and Puka. This is a good team.
I like this. Yeah. Jaden's a perfect QB guy in a two QB league. He is perfect. Because if he has a bad week, it's not the end of the world.
Yeah.
But he probably gonna have good weeks. A lot.
So I'm gonna say you're starting Kyler, Jaden, Brees, Gibbs, Nico, Amari. If you want to go to Marcus Robinson over Amari, okay. Then you can literally flex Mixon and Mason. I'm liking that we're seeing more teams this year that end up double flexing running backs. Interesting. But yeah, I don't think you need to make any moves. Keep this running back depth. Just play waiver at wide receiver. Sometimes I always say I prefer wide receiver depth in full PPR. I prefer to flex two wide receivers. But sometimes it just is what it is. If your team, like the foundation is running back depth, then just roll with it.
Unless you can get something crazy for Jordan Mason. Like if you can get a crazy top tier wide receiver, then do that.
Mason hits double digits again this week, and Demarcus Robinson has a big game in, lieu of the Puka injury, then maybe you get the right trade offer and you can tier up and get a better wide receiver on this team. And I'm fine with that. But I do expect Amari to be better, and I like Nico a lot. So I don't think you're in a terrible position. Just the depth is bad. All right, resist. Start 2. Reed, Moore, Dell, Mason, Debo. Ooh. I'm going to start Debo for sure.
Yeah, Debo's the for sure start here.
Debo's for sure. I'm going to say...
Don't say it.
Start Jaden Reed.
Don't say it. His quarterback can't throw a football.
They're going to find ways to get him involved. I mean, who do you like more? Do you like just going Jordan Mason here? I think he's still safe.
No, I don't like running double Niners. I think DJ Moore. I don't think the Texans defense is very good.
It's not.
I'd have to look at the Bears slot, like their nickel. They have a really good nickel, though. Like I think they have a good nickel.
But
or what? I don't know what the hell.
Caleb Williams throw the ball.
He can throw the ball better than Malik Willis. I can throw the ball better than Malik Willis.
That's true.
I know how to grab a football. Trust me. If I was trying to throw a Hail Mary, I would have thrown the Hail Mary.
Yeah, I think that really, honestly, Debo's locked in, and then any other answer here is fair. There's definitely an argument for any other player here. I would risk it for the biscuit and go Debo and Reed is what I like.
I'm just so concerned Indy's going to walk. Because they're like, Indy was bad against the run. They were awful, whatever. Like, but Houston offense is like a different animal. You have to worry about everything. Indy might put 9 to 10 guys in the box and dare them to throw against them.
I think they have to force them to throw. Have to.
Dare Malik Willis to throw the ball against you. Because he's never looked good. He's never...
I would start Debo for sure.
Yeah.
I don't think you can really go wrong with the second player here. Trust your heart. What does your heart tell you? Run CMC. What's up? Tuning in, running back. Kyler Gibbs, Jordan Mason, Charbs. Wide receiver is AJ Brown, DJ Moore, Worthy, J-Mo. Please pick 2 and 2. Wait.
I think it's Kyron. I would think Kyron.
Oh, Kyron. I was like, wait, Kyler. I mean,
yeah, I think
he might
be a running back. Hey, man,
he's a running back, but he is a quarterback. I would start Kyron and Gibbs. Yeah, both their matchups good, game scripts good. I would really hate to own AJ Brown this week.
Yes, Monday night. Of course it's Monday night. Of course, couldn't be Sunday night. Like, we could make some moves then.
If you're worried about AJ Brown, just go Worthy. If you want upside, go Worthy and J-Mo.
J-Mo.
I mean,
might put a 0 up.
Yeah, the upside and risk lies with those two. If you want to even it out, DJ Moore gives you a floor. AJ Brown's going to be a bummer this week, just like C-Mac was a bummer last week. Tommy, you can certainly post your team on Discord and what wide receivers are available. But is there really going to be anyone better for your bench than Randall Robinson and McMillan with Coleman and Watson? If AJ Brown doesn't suit up on Monday Night Football, do I go Tank Dell or Xavier Worthy? Well, the problem is we're not going to know.
We don't know.
That's the problem. Unfortunately, So I think that there's still risk with both Dell and Worthy in terms of like a safe floor, but there's plenty of upside. I mean, I like both these guys a lot this week still. So I have a good feeling about Tank Dell this week. I will, factor in the fact that he did not score a touchdown last week. Makes me feel better about his chances to score a touchdown this week. So I'll go Tank Dell. But I like Xavier Worthy too. If you like Xavier Worthy more, I think that's fine. You need the touchdown upside here because it's half PPR. But yeah, unfortunate, John, that we just won't know until Monday about AJ Brown. I mean, we might find out earlier, but very likely we don't.
I have a feeling he's not going to play, but this is 100% a gut feeling just on the way it just kind of sounded.
Yeah, I mean, it's a later week injury, right? Is the bigger concern, If we went into the week with knowing he was going to have a hamstring injury, be different. But I don't think that's popped up till like yesterday. So
yeah,
what maybe happened Thursday, or if not, it happened early Friday. So that's not good.
And are the Eagles really afraid of the Falcons? It's Kirk Cousins. No. They own Kirk Cousins. So sit AJ Brown. You're 2-0. What do you need AJ Brown for?
Yeah, I think the Eagles gonna have a big week.
Devontae smash play, baby.
Yeah, Devontae is gonna be either way is smash play, but he might be more of a.
Can I double smash him?
You can.
I'll move him from the starting wide receiver from the flat. I'll put him in the starting. He's the starting wide receiver.
Gets a promotion.
Promoted out of the flex.
Jason, what's up, fellas? Glad you guys are streaming. We're glad as well. Defense question: would you start the Chiefs or the Hawks? I'm still going to start the Seahawks. Chiefs defense is good, but they're not a great fantasy defense. And I don't want to count the Bengals out completely here. I don't know what the Bengals are. I think there's still risk. They still have offensive talent. I mean, the Chiefs had 4 fantasy points in week 1. They could be a sneaky play this week. Don't get me wrong, but I'm going to go with the team facing Jacoby Brissett. Shanahan QBX system has been taking guys off the street, turning them into 1,000-yard rushers since the Denver days, for sure. Big Lou, we got Ford, Godwin, Charbonnet, or Jameson at the flex and half PPR. Half PPR, I might go Jerome Ford. I'll take the running back here. I love him this week, so I'll take Ford, but I think Godwin's a really solid start. J-Mo's still good. Charbs is fine. Browns or Philly defense rest of the season? Probably the Browns. I mean, Philly's defense is not good. So I'll go Browns. Slick Rick, we got MH Jr., Worthy, or Rashid. I'll go Worthy. I think Marvin Harrison Jr. will have a better week, but
can't have a worse week.
No, he if he does, then we're gonna have big issues here. But
you'll know Sunday night. We will have that'll be the sky will be burning in my reaction to panic videos.
I liked Marvin Harrison Jr. a lot to start the week. I think it's a good bounce back spot, good game script, good matchup. But my concern has moved up since the week has gone on. So here's the thing with Xavier Worthy: like you're gonna have frustrating weeks, but you're gonna have weeks like week 1. And it's like, why did you draft Xavier Worthy? You drafted him to be a boomer bust flex option. So just let it ride. Steven Pereira. We got Devontae Adams, Dobbins, or Brian Robinson in half PPR. Just smash Dobbins. Just go Dobbins. I mean, you got 3 good options, and I like Brian Robinson a lot this week, but just throw Dobbins out there against the Panthers.
Did you ever think you would say Devontae Adams is the lowest guy out of J.K. Dobbins and Brian Robinson?
Yeah. For sure. I'll say this much, guys. Whatever running back is facing the Panthers is probably going to be a must start every week.
Their best players out for they lost their best players. They have nothing. They have nobody on that defense. That front is terrible. That team is bad. Bryce Young, maybe he's a Hall of Famer, but he ain't one right now.
Hello, Andrea. Good to see you. Ramondre Stevenson for Najee and Kyler. Yeah, I am okay with this if you need the quarterback.
Yeah,
help.
what's your quarterback look like?
Yeah, it depends on the rest of the team here, but I'll say this much: like if Najee scored a touchdown week 1, I think you would be looking at this as a no-brainer. I mean, Ramondre had 120 yards on the ground, a touchdown, and 3 receptions, 21 fantasy points. Najee had 70 yards on the ground, one reception, excuse me, 20 touches compared to Ramondre's 25, and Najee had 0 touchdowns. So you add the touchdown, it's at least closer fantasy points scored. So, I mean, which offense do you believe in more, the Patriots or the Steelers? I don't know if we have an answer right now. What do I do with Waddle? Yeah, I've been waiting for these questions to start coming. Glad. Okay.
Send him to the sun.
This mirrors last year more than I think the Green Bay Packers wide receivers do right now. But just because Garrett Wilson lost Aaron Rodgers last year didn't make him completely fantasy relevant. You just downgrade. I mean, Waddle becomes a wide receiver 2 to a flex. He gets downgraded and his ceiling is much lower. Tyreek Hill is still going to be a must start every week. It's just how it goes. It's just like Justin Jefferson. No disrespect to Sam Darnold, but JJ is a must start every week because he's JJ.
But it feels a little bit like nobody's figured out. Like the Vikings have always moved. Like the offense isn't figured out. It kind of feels like the Mike McDaniel offense may have been figured out. Like all this little motion, timing stuff. Like people just bump them off their route and don't let Tyreek Hill run deep, and it's a problem. Now maybe Skylar Thompson is better than Tua.
They need to bring it. They've already said they're going to bring in another quarterback, right?
No, they haven't. They haven't said that.
Oh, I thought McDaniel.
No, they said they were bringing in like depth, but like not a guy. Like they're not going to sign Tannehill. Or maybe they bring in Mike White, like because Mike White was there. Maybe you just bring back Mike White.
I don't disagree either way. It looks not good.
I'm trying to trade for Jameis Winston just for the fun.
Jameis might be a starter this year.
Jameis going to start for Cleveland.
You can't. That's the problem. I said the same thing last year about Garrett Wilson. If you sell Waddle, you're just selling him at the worst value. He just gets downgraded to a flex. They play Seattle, Tennessee, and New England before they hit the bye. It's not going to be a good stretch here anyways. Like these are 3 defenses who are opportunistic, right? It's just tough. Then they get a bye, then they play the Colts, the Cardinals, the Bills, the Rams, the Raiders is a little bit better outside of maybe at Buffalo, because apparently this team can't match up against Buffalo, but that's a problem. I mean, you can package a guy like Waddle with another player, but you're selling him at an all-time low is the issue. And I will say this, not to get into a big debate and conversation or something sensitive here, but Tua might be back in a week.
Not a week, but I would bet Tua's back in 3. Like Tua is back within 3 to 4 weeks. I would bet that.
It's not out of the possibilities, but we'll let Tua make that decision with however much time he wants. But
why don't they just put a guardian cap on him? I know it's super lame and everyone will make fun of him, but like seriously, just just put a guardian cap on
him. Once again, not to poke anything sensitive, but he should have like the neck brace. He should have the guard. He should have like an entire
This is not sensitive. He's paid. He signed a $167 million contract. I do not feel bad for this human being. Like make the decision. Just make your call.
The big thing is like it just feels like he's just susceptible to concussions. Like this wasn't even that
he was reckless. He was completely reckless. He assumed Hamlin was gonna like just jump over him, touch him, not do anything. He was just reckless. Like, let me throw my neck into a defender.
Well, I think one of the issues with Tua is when he's underperforming, which he was in this game by a mile. He just tends to make these like superhero type decisions that don't pay off, and that's what you saw in that play. Is he's trying to do too much, and it just resulted in an awkward hit that I think a lot of quarterbacks would have been okay with taking, but just something is off with Tua and the concussion history to where this was a impactful hit. But yeah, and then of course like it's DeMar Hamlin of all.
That
but,
honestly, I kind of like. It's not funny, but it's kind of fun. It's like, what's
it's
going
ironic.
on here? What's going on here? Like, what is going on here?
It's an awkward laugh where you're like, this is just weird. You know,
like, of course, it's simulations. We live in a simulation. It's
we probably do.
It's saying hi to us. Like, hey guys, remember when Damar Hamlin died on the field? Watch him kill another guy. Like, what?
Yeah, it's like,
of course, it was Damar Hamlin. Tua's gonna be okay though. He got up right away. Like that was the good sign. It was way better than the one against Cincinnati, the second one from 2022. Yeah. He was okay.
But yeah, so we could very well see Tua back, and I would just hold Waddle. Just hold Waddle.
Yeah.
Hold Tyreek, hold Waddle. Definitely hold A-Chain. A-Chain's probably the only one he benefits here.
A-Chain had a great game. That was like, oh, he's hurt, but he had a really good game. He's got 10 days off now.
All right, Dom. Start one. Neighbors, White, DJ Moore, PPR. We're starting Malik Neighbors. That's my call this week. Throw Neighbors out there. Washington sucks. I like White. I like Moore. I like Neighbors the best. All right, I'm going to try and do a little speed run here and get caught up. 10-man PPR. A-Rich, Barkley, Gibbs, Malik, Worthy, Kittle, Dell. Benches, Bigsby, Pickens, Singletary, Mitchell, Ridley, JSN, DeMarcus Robinson. Any trade ideas? You're good at running back. Wide receiver is very interesting on this team. If you're not going to start Pickens, maybe you could package him with Singletary after this week, because I don't think Pickens' value will change and Singletary's value could go up after playing Washington. Maybe you can upgrade at wide receiver that way. Should I start Dobbins or Olave? We're throwing Dobbins out. If Dobbins is bad this week, then you guys will hate me. I think Olave will be better this week, but it's another tough matchup. Believe it or not, the Panthers was a tough matchup. They were good against wide receivers and wide receiver ones last year. Don't know why or how, but they were. So give me Dobbins. Who do I pick? Who do I start? Pick two. Mason, Connor, Neighbors. Connor and Neighbors. I still like Mason a lot, but those are the two with the better matchups all around. Mike, should I replace A.J. Brown with either Ayuk, Monty, Ridley, B-Tom, or J-Mo? I just start Ayuk here. Ayuk will be better this week. I'll just start Ayuk if you're worried about A.J. Brown. 10-man, Purdy, Hall, Stevenson, Adams, J.J. Coleman, Jets defense, Bates. Any changes? Yes, take Coleman out of your starting lineup.
Whoops.
Other than that, which I know you can, I'm sorry, that sucks. Other than that, you're good here. Jets defense is going to be interesting. The Jets defense will still have moments this year. Don't get me wrong. And Will Levis, bad.
Will Levis cannot throw the football. Another guy who cannot throw the football except to the other team.
Yeah. I didn't even think about them this week, but the Jets defense is probably fine.
Look at a turnover.
Yeah. Kanye's Mr. Just the picture of Kanye there. Just drop Rashid Shaheed for Bucky Irving. Depends on the roster. I probably prefer Shaheed, but Irving's fine. They're both valuable bench players. Start two in a full PPR, Olave, Dobbins, or Godwin. Once again, Dobbins and Godwin. Give me the matchups here. Sorry, Olave. Jeez, rough on Olave tonight. So that probably means he's going to score. So, let's see, Andrea. You need one wide receiver and a flex. London, B. Tom, McConkey. I will go with London and Lad McConkey.
Lad.
I like Lad this week a lot.
Again. We're just fading the Panthers every week.
Yeah. Fade them. I mean, I guess you could make the argument like I just talked about. They are good against wide receivers, but I don't know if Palmer is a wide receiver 1 and Lad's a wide receiver 2, which will benefit Lad. You could go beat Tom if you like him more, but I think you just start Drake London there. Lost Hollywood for the season. Need another wide receiver, Shaheed, Robinson, or Cooks. If you need win now, Robinson. If you have some flexibility, go Cooks, and then I'll go Shaheed last, just because Shaheed is the biggest boomer bust player here. Michael, Pittman or Flowers? I'm thinking Pittman. I'm okay going Pittman. It's a better matchup, but overall, I still like Flowers better. Just don't forget, Flowers should have had 6 more points added to, I mean, really 7 with the reception added to that stat line last week. So he would have had like 18 fantasy points if Lamar could
throw a football.
find a way to not choke.
Another guy who can't throw a football. Only in big spots. Only in big spots for Lamar.
I know, only in like the last 30 seconds of the game, or in the playoff games. I'm still really frustrated about that, missing that throw to Zay Flowers. But I'm okay with Pittman. If that's who you like, I'm okay with Pittman. I like his matchup a lot this week. Neighbors, Ridley, or Ladd. It's going to be Neighbors for me because he plays Washington, and they suck. Was the floor for Andrews last week and the ceiling for Likely shown last week? I'm not really sure who the tight end one is. I mean, I think they're just both tight ends who are going to be heavily utilized in different ways as the season goes on. Lions or Browns defense? I guess the Browns. I'm not.
Neither.
Yeah, I don't really like either this week. The Lions are just not really a fantasy defense. The secondary's too bad. And I mean, last year they were the defense 23 in fantasy. They had some streamable weeks, but
I guess like if the sacks are up and maybe they force a turnover, but they're going to give up a ton of yards and a ton of points, I think.
They only had one double-digit performance between weeks 10 and 17 last year. Against who? Against the Vikings.
No.
With Nick Mullins at
Nick Mullins threw like 5 interceptions. Yeah, what do we have, like 5 turnovers in that game?
They had some weeks earlier in the season, but still 1, 2, 3, 4, just 5 double-digit performances. Everything else, I mean, like, and you've got like 2 negative performances.
Yeah, you're bad. Unless you play like there could be a circumstance where like that's bad. You shouldn't have multiple. There's like one game where you could have like you run into a buzzsaw, like i.e. the Ravens game with the Lions, but watch the defense stream video, Oz. We got it. We got you. There's plenty of defenses there.
Yeah. The Browns.
They're only good at home. You can only play the Browns defense are only a viable play when they're in Cleveland.
I will say they play the Giants at home in week 3, so they might not be droppable. They were defense 5 last year. They're just on the road at Jacksonville. If I have to choose out of these 2, it is the Browns, but check and see who else is out there available. I like Seattle this week. I think a lot of people do. I still am okay with rolling the Colts out there. They're not a very good defense, but if Malik Willis is the quarterback, I would risk it. I also like the Patriots in that same matchup against Seattle. I like both defenses. I don't really like that game for fantasy. It's just kind of another. If the Chargers are out there, I think you can start them against the Panthers. So there might be some options I like more. Andrew, need a wide receiver and a flex. Oh, we're back to this. So, okay, we missed a couple. Adams, London, Ladd, B. Tom, Brian Robinson. That's half PPR. I go for the touchdown upside. I'll start Brian Robinson and Drake London. You're welcome, Derek. All right, guys, less than 20 minutes left. If you guys need something answered right away, you can throw a super chat in here. I'm going to try and speed through everything, try to get every question answered. Standard, starting Mahomes, JJ Godwin, JT, B-Rob, Kelsey, Worthy. Should I flex Adams or Najee? No, I'll take the upside with Worthy, but if... Oh, it's standard scoring? Yeah, I'll take the upside. Give me Worthy. Need one, Mooney, Greg, Dortch, or Jaleel. McLaughlin, I'll go Greg Dortch. Feels the safest. Nicholas, we got Charb, Ford, Dobbins, ETN. Worried about touchdown upside with Ford. Worried about Gus getting goal line touches. Worried about Tank Bigsby. Worried about New England's defense. That's all fair. The floor play for me is Ford. The upside play is Dobbins. ETN's probably still fine as well. Don't overthink it. You got good options there, Nicholas. All right, we already hit this one. We're going to go Patriots over Chiefs defense. Taylor Gang, what's up? What are you guys doing on a dynasty contender if you have A.J. Brown? I'm probably not selling Taylor Gang. Probably not selling. Probably holding. What do you think, Taylor? Cats, what's up, Cats? How are you? Keon had as many catches as largest separation on his routes. 0, nada, niche. Disappointing game. Game script didn't benefit him. Kyle, what's up, bro? We love you too. How are you, bro? We missed you. What's up?
Kyle was over here using my chat. Ford or ETN. I already gave him that. Let's see what John says. I like this.
I like Ford better.
Oh, I went ETN. See, I'm still okay with ETN. It's PPR. It's a full PPR.
I'm definitely okay with ETN. It just ETN like just feels kind of.
Cleveland had the worst red zone defense on the road last. They were 32nd in red zone defense last year.
I think I'm just in on Ford is my problem. That I feel like I want to go with him, but I think you probably just start your guy here. You probably just start ETN. That's why you drafted him, right? ETN for a floor, Ford for upside, but risk. I will admit the Browns on the road risky.
Bad.
But I think that you don't have to worry about volume at all with Jerome Ford. You might see Bigsby vulture some touches.
True.
Josh, we got 2. Godwin, Rice, Neighbors. Ooh. Rice is a must start. I don't care what anyone says. Hollywood's out of the picture. Xavier Worthy still only had 2 targets last week. Then
I think he had 2
rush.
He had 3 touches.
Yeah.
2 targets and a handoff.
Rice is a must start every week. You have to start him. I love Godwin and Neighbors this week. If you can get both of them in your lineup somehow, I would. If I had to choose one, give me the competitive game script and give me Godwin, but I'd really like Neighbors this week. For us, AJ Brown owners, are we starting still? I'm going to leave it up to you guys. It's too tough of a decision to make at this point in the week. It depends on who else you have. Like if you're looking at your bench and it's, DeMarcus Robinson, Deontay Johnson, and Christian Watson, and you just don't feel great. I mean, DeMarcus Robinson, I think there might be an argument for because that's a positive game script, but there's no way of knowing. We don't have a great update here, so it really depends on what you have. Can you drop players on Yahoo even if they played already? It depends on your league settings. In my leagues, no. In your league, maybe. You might want to ask your commissioner. JM, how do y'all feel about Jordan Mason, Caleb Williams for Kyler Murray? Because my starting quarterback is Jaden Daniels. Just keep Jaden Daniels as your starting quarterback and keep Jordan Mason. Caleb's your QB2. This is not the type of trade that I would like to see selling Jordan Mason high on. Tua needs to retire. I don't care about how much money he's making. It ain't worth it, to be honest. He's going to be tweeting cracker of the day before you know it.
Okay. Great reference. Unbelievable reference.
Antonio Brown had a very, the first serious Antonio Brown tweet ever. And it was talking about Tua and how he needs to retire. So maybe there's a parallel here. Antonio Brown's Twitter is incredible. I don't care what anyone says. Tua's made enough money as is. No matter what I've listened to breakdowns on how the contract would work if he does retire. And even before this contract, Tua's made enough money to say, I don't want to risk, whether it's his health now is not impacted, but his health in 20, 30 years impacted. It's a tough conversation. It is what it is. We'll see what happens. Jen, half PPR, would you start Pollard or Scary Terry? In half PPR, I'd start Pollard for sure. Love this matchup for him against the Jets. I'd start Pollard. Start 2, Godwin, Charbs, and London. Give me Godwin and London. Charbs is really only like a desperation start. It's a bad matchup. We've seen him as RB1 before and not really perform.
But it could be better. It could be a little better, but yeah, no, it's just a terrible matchup. Like New England is fantastic against the run. It's just a bad matchup. Yeah.
Agree. Colin, what's going on? Picked up Jordan Mason. How high should I value him in terms of trading, mainly looking for wide receivers and non-PPR? The value is higher in non-PPR, so ride the train. I mean, you're selling him as high as you possibly can. He's the RB1 for the Niners. C-Mac's never going to play again. Like, you got to feed into all of it, and you got to trade him.
The Vikings run defense is elite if he has a bad weekend this weekend. Like, they're
Yeah.
just elite. Don't worry about that. Look at this schedule. The NFC West is a bunch of bad run defenses, and the Cardinals and the Rams.
And if he does have a bad week, which he might, just remind people that the Vikings run defense is not actually bad. So, yeah, I mean, you gotta, when you're in a situation like this, you gotta sell a player as high as possible. So, value him as high as possible. Now, I mean, if you're asking for a straight up answer, like, I do think you can sell Jordan Mason for like any of those like late round, second round wide receivers that underperformed in week 1, and just about any like third or fourth round wide receiver. So you got a pretty heavy tier of guys there and a lot of names, but you should be able to trade them straight up for some pretty valuable wide receivers.
The entire Texans wide receiver core, you could look at all 3 of those.
If you get any one of those guys, I think it's worth it for sure. But yeah, look at running back needy teams and wide receiver heavy teams.
Devonta Smith, baby. That's a guy.
If you can get Devonta Smith, that'd be a steal. Miggs traded ETN and Ridley for Amon-Ra and Corum. Have Cook, JT, Brian Robinson Jr., Higgins, Brian Thomas Jr., and Palmer. It is a win for you. I don't know if Corum is a pure handcuff. We don't even know if he's the RB2 here, but it's a win for you because you got Amon-Ra St. Brown, and your wide receivers need a lot of help, and you have 3 stud running backs as is. So at least now you can start Cook, JT, Amon-Ra, Brian Thomas Jr., and flex Brian Robinson Jr. So it helps you. It's a good trade for you. Stash Benson or Bigsby. I'm going to say Bigsby because he's seeing some value right now with ETN healthy, where Benson's not seeing any value. Blue Jays, half PPR. Who would you rather? Which side would you rather? Pacheco, Reed, likely, or St. Brown, Warren, and Joku? Pacheco, Reed, and likely for sure.
Yeah, I like that.
And I mean, Amon-Ra is still my guy, but
he asked that in my chat too, who he should try and target trade with Pacheco, Reed, and likely. I'm like, I'm not trading Pacheco for pretty much anything. And then Reed is just tough because of the Love injury. And I like you said, I like likely too. I said Devonta, if you really want to trade, like, try and get like a Devonta Smith or a Tank Dell if you want to get rid of Reed and likely, but do not get rid of Pacheco.
The biggest issue I get that you're still getting Amon-Ra here, but the biggest issue is that Warren's coming off the hamstring injury and his volume was awful week 1. I don't know if you're going to fit that scheme there compared to Najee. Then Njoku's hurt. Yeah, so this is a bad trade. It's a bad trade. Don't do it. Don't overthink it, Tommy. You'll be fine. Kyle says he's leaning forward. I'm okay with going forward. But you can't really go wrong, I don't think. I think the floor is very similar there. CD Smitty, start 3, sit 2. We got Lundo, Pittman, Godwin, Ford, Dobbins. This is tough. I like all these guys this week. If it's full PPR and you just want to go London, Pittman, Godwin, I have no qualms with that. Start all the wide receivers. If you want to go Dobbins over one of those guys that you don't like or trust, maybe Drake London, then I'm okay with it. Dobbins is the upside play here if you want to put a cherry on top. Tommy, I'm on Yahoo. We can drop players who already played as long as they're on our bench.
Oh, yeah, there is some weird leagues like that. Like, you can do that in Sleeper, too, because somebody did that to pick up Jordan Mason. They cut somebody who already played, and it caused a freak out in one of my friends' leagues.
Yeah, so in Sleeper, the setting is there for commissioners. It's like it's really easy to change. Like all my leagues, it's off. If someone plays, then you're stuck with them.
That's how it should be. That's how
it should be that way. It should be that.
You can't take a player that could potentially start for somebody and swap them with a player who cannot play for them.
Right. There's plenty of reasons why it's in place, and it makes sense to have it in place. Plus, like, you can get in some really weird scenarios where you can just, especially once you get to the playoffs, you can get in really weird scenarios where like your entire bench becomes meaningless, but your opponent, they have one tight end or one quarterback and they get hurt or they're questionable, and then you pick up 5 quarterbacks. Yeah. It's like you just want to prevent.
But we have roster limits on positions, and that's how we do it to block
we
that.
should do that too, but yeah, in general, it should just not be allowed. Start Mason over DJ Moore. What's up, Stover? I'm okay with that. I think, like, I don't know Mason's upside is as high this week, but his floor I think is still safe. DJ Moore I think will be better this week, so I would be more confident in DJ Moore if we knew what was going on with Keenan Allen and Rome Odunze, because I will say
Stingley's good. Like, Texas can put a good corner on somebody and shut it down.
I like DJ Moore better when we've got, multiple, areas that the defense needs to focus on, where right now it's like, I mean, DJ Moore is a true wide receiver 1, don't get me wrong, but it just makes it a little bit tougher. So I'm okay just going Mason here if you want. James Conner, what's up, Johnny D? That's my name too. James Conner versus ETN versus Monty. Which two do you start? I start Conner. I love Conner this week. And probably ETN. I mean, I'm okay with Monty still, but probably go Conner and ETN. Sorry, Monty. Would you trade Jaden Reed and Olave for St. Brown? Lando Commando, it really depends on your roster. What does that leave you with that wide receiver? I'd definitely consider this. But I'm not trying to take away value from Jaden Reed or Chris Olave here. Reed will be better once Jordan Love is back. And I still think he'll be involved enough that he'll be fantasy relevant, flex worthy the next couple of weeks. And Olave will see better days. I don't know if it's going to be week 2 against Dallas, but we drafted Olave in the second round, beginning of the third round for a reason. I think he's a great buy low right now. Might still be a buy low going into week 3, but he gets Philly in week 3. He's going to have better games for sure. So, but I would have Garrett Wilson and DJ Moore if I accepted Amon-Ra. It depends on your belief level with Amon-Ra. Like, I still view Amon-Ra as a potential repeat top 5 wide receiver. Yeah.
It was a weird game plan. I don't know what the line.
Yeah.
Like, the Lions looked terrible in the second half. Like, let's not kid ourselves. Their offense looked awful in the second half. They had one drive to get a field goal to tie that game. Guess who they didn't throw the ball to? Their 2 best players on offense, and they didn't give it to their consistent running back.
He will be fine. There's no way that Amon-Ra is not fine this year. So I think you can do this trade. But I still think Olave and Reed will be okay this year. Let me ask you this question, though. If Jordan Love doesn't get hurt in week 1, would you still do this trade? So you just have to imagine the ceiling and value of Jaden Reed when Jordan Love is back. But all in all, I'm probably okay with the trade. You're welcome, Colin. Would you pick Ayuk or Neighbors this week? Ayuk for a floor. I do think he'll be much better this week. Neighbors for upside. Wombat, how are you doing? Good morning. It's not morning here, but if it is morning where you are, good morning back to you.
I love the commitment if it's morning where you are.
If it is, yeah. Would you rather start Olave or Charbs? See, like here, full PPR, I still go with the wide receiver. I still go Olave. Once again, Charbonnet is still a desperation RB2 fill-in. Like, you have Christian McCaffrey, Kenneth Walker, DeAndre Swift, and Devon Achane. And you already started Achane, and you can't start anyone else, Then you throw Charbs out there, it's not a great matchup for Charbonnet. I would avoid starting him if you can. If you have to, I think he's okay. I just don't think the ceiling's high. All right, guys. So if we made it to the bottom of the chat, every time I start to freak out that we're not going to get there,
we get there. get there.
It's not as bad. It always seems worse than it is. So, we did it. Another good round of fantasy Q&A, a solid 2 hours. Don't forget, we have everything on the channel that you guys need. Okay. So if you're still worried, we have last minute waiver ads. We have buy lows. Week 2 must starts at running back and wide receiver. We have must start kickers, must start defenses and streams. Start them, set them for every matchup, every single player, wide receiver, running back, quarterback, and tight end. So everything that you guys need for the week is live on the channel, and we'll be back on before Sunday's action to answer your last minute fantasy questions tomorrow. And then we'll head right into week 3. Sunday night, we'll have Pete's panic video.
I'm already panicking about the panic video.
Oh, yeah.
I'm panicked. So we're panicked. So much to panic about.
Pain, panic, all of it.
The Dolphins, panic.
Dolphins, panic. Monday, we'll have waiver wire ads, defenses and streams. Tuesday, we will have stardom sit-ems for running backs and quarterbacks. Wednesday, we'll have stardom sit-em. No. Tuesday, we'll have stardom sit-ems for running backs and wide receivers. Sorry. Every player, every matchup. Wednesday, we'll have stardom sit-ems for quarterbacks and tight ends. And Pete will throw out kickers, must-start kickers. The rest of the week, I don't know exactly what order we're going to do, but must-start running backs, must-start wide receivers, buy lows. We will have last-minute waiver ads. And I think that's about it. So we'll repeat for week 3, and we will stream and do Q&As as much as we can next week as well. So, Andrew, have a good night. Colin, have a good night as well. Like I said, guys, we'll be on tomorrow before the games for a little bit. So if you guys need anything, don't worry. We'll be back. We got plenty of content on the channel if you guys need anything too. So that'll do it for the night. Everyone have a great Sunday, great Saturday night. Good luck to anyone that we don't talk to tomorrow. Pete, I'll let you say bye, and we'll get on out of here.
Yeah, make sure you check out the video, guys. If you have any questions, we'll be back tomorrow morning. Last-minute questions. As always, don't sweat it. Watch the games. Don't look till halftime of the first games, and then you can be miserable and panic for the 4 o'clock games when you're down 50 points. But no, guys, seriously, excellent. As always, week 2. Let's get it.
Let's go. All right, guys, hit the like, do all the YouTube stuff. Love you guys, man. Loves community, love the Catch fan. We'll talk to everyone soon. With that, I'll say thank you guys so much for watching and or listening. And remember, you saw it here on the Catch and